Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. In today's video, I shall discuss one short story written by Ruskin Bond, The Thief's Story. Now, viewers, please note that there are two versions of the story. Many of you may have read one version in your class 10 NCERT books. But now for this video, I am following the other version, which is part of the book Golden Leaves, a textbook for college students published by Macmillan. Please follow this version of the story if you are a student of Calcutta University. The basic storyline for both the versions is same, but the names of characters are different. Okay? So let's move on with the next slide. Let us first know a few important points about the author Ruskin Bond. So he is a renowned Indian writer of British descent. In 1934, he was born to British parents Edith Clark and Aubrey Bond in Kasauli, a town in Himachal Pradesh, India. And very recently, he celebrated his 90th birthday. He writes for children and young adults. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1992. He was also awarded the Padma Shri in 1999. In most of his stories, we find a picturesque description of the social life in the hill stations of the Himalayas. Now, let us move on with the story, The Thief's Story. This story narrates the tale of a young 15-year-old thief on his journey of transformation. At the outset, the narrator, that is the thief, introduces himself as an experienced and fairly successful hand. So remember that this story is narrated by the thief himself. He befriends people just to rob them. The narrator, that is the thief, met Arun at a wrestling match. Now, who was Arun? Arun was about 20, a tall and lean fellow. Arun appeared to be very kind and simple for the thief's purpose, right? Because the thief wanted to rob him and he was very simple and kind, so he was an easy target. In their first meeting, the thief introduced himself as Deepak, but that was not his original name. It was rather his fifth name. The previous four names were Ranbir, Sudhir, Trilok, and Surinder. None of these were his original name. Okay, so in the story, he will not find his original name. So after this preliminary exchange, when Arun was leaving the crowded place, the thief expressed his desire to work for Arun. He started flattering Arun, saying, I have been wandering about all day looking for the best person to work for. When I saw you, I knew that no one else had a chance. So this is how he flattered Arun. He said that Arun was the best person for whom he could work. But Arun said that he could not allow Deepak to work for him because he couldn't pay him. Deepak then asked Arun if he could feed him, to which Arun said yes, but on one condition: Deepak must cook for Arun. And then it came out as a kind of arrangement that Deepak could cook for Arun and Arun would pay for his fooding. So he was taken to Arun's place and was told that he could sleep in the veranda. That very night, it became evident that Deepak did not know cooking, as Arun had to give the meal to the neighbor's cat. The food prepared by Deepak was awful, and Arun had to give it to the neighbor's cat. Arun also asked Deepak to leave, but Deepak hung around smiling in his most appealing way. Arun then taught him to cook and also to write his and Arun's names. Arun would soon teach him to write whole sentences and add money on paper. Okay, these were his planning, like Arun's planning. Arun wanted to teach him how to write whole sentences and how to add money on paper. So, working for a person like Arun was indeed a pleasure for Deepak. Every day after making tea in the morning, Deepak would go out to buy the day's supplies, the daily necessities. And he used to make a profit of 25 paise a day. How? He usually made this profit by managing to buy the products at a cheaper rate than the market price. For example, he would get rice at 50 paise a pound, whereas the market price was 56 paise a pound. And he didn't mention these things to Arun. And so he could make a profit of 25 paise a day. The goodness of Arun's heart also touched Deepak. He was grateful to Arun for teaching him to write. He knew that he would achieve greater goals in life if he could write like an educated man. This desire made him think it might even be an incentive to be honest. Okay, so you can see that Deepak was not an entirely heartless person, an entirely bad person. So he also wanted to uh, grow, wanted to achieve greater goals, like he wanted to become an educated man. So Arun, however, did not have a steady flow of income. He made money by fits and starts. He would be borrowing one week, lending the next. He was very casual with money. The moment he would earn a huge amount of money, the next day he would spend the almost the entire amount on his friends by celebrating the event or by making parties. One evening, Arun came home with a wad of notes, and at night he tucked the bundles under the mattress at the head of the bed. So Deepak noticed this. Deepak had been working for Arun for nearly a fortnight, but he could not rob Arun in spite of having every opportunity to do so, as he had the key to the front door to enter Arun's room in his absence. Then why didn't he rob Arun during these 14 days? Deepak could not rob him because he had never met a more trusting person than Arun. It is easy to rob a greedy man because he deserves to be robbed. It is easy to rob a rich man because he can afford to be robbed. but it is difficult to rob a poor man, even one who really doesn't care if he is robbed. So that is the basic reason for which he couldn't rob Arun, right? Because Arun was so casual with his money, he was so careless with his money, and he didn't bother at all to protect his money. Deepak started convincing himself that he should do some real work as he was getting out of practice. Like after seeing those bundles of notes, he had this desire to steal that money, and then he somehow started this self talk. Okay? And he tried to convince himself that he should do some real work, means he should indulge in stealing again, otherwise he would be out of practice. He further told himself that if he did not take the money, Arun would only waste it on his friends. Moreover, Arun did not pay him. Deepak then decided to steal the wad of notes and leave the town by the 10:30 express to Amritsar. It was a moonlit night. Arun was asleep. Slipping out of the blanket, Deepak crept on all fours through the door and up to the bed and peeped at Arun, who was sleeping peacefully. After stealing the money, Deepak crawled out of the room. Okay, so finally Deepak had stolen that uh, wad of notes and then began to run. He ran down the bazaar road to the station. He tucked the bundle in his pajamas on the way to station. He felt the urge for counting the money. He slowed down to a walk and his fingers flicked through the notes. There were about 100 rupees in fives. A good howl. I could live like a prince for a month or two. So there was about 100 rupees, right? In fives means there were 5 rupee notes. Then how many notes were there? 20 notes. Approx 20 notes were there of 5 rupee, and that makes it 100 rupees. Deepak had always travelled without ticket, so he went straight to the platform. The Amritsar Express was just moving out, and it was slow enough for Deepak to catch it. But he hesitated to leave thus for some urgent, unexplainable reason. So something happened inside him and he decided not to leave, not to take the train. Standing alone on the deserted platform, Deepak found himself very lonely and isolated. He was thinking of where to spend the night, but he didn't have any friend in the town. He didn't know any place where he could spend that night. So he decided to go back to Arun's place as he had nowhere else to go, but somehow he couldn't gather the courage to do so. Deepak thought that Arun would still be asleep, unaware of his loss. Based on his study of men's faces after losing something of material value, Deepak said, and this is indeed a very important part of the story. The greedy man shows panic, the rich man shows anger, the poor man shows fear. But I knew that neither panic nor anger, nor fear would show on Arun's face. Only a terrible sadness, not for the loss of the money, but for my having betrayed his trust. He sat down on a bench on the Maidan for some time. The cold night and a heavy rain forced him to move to the bazaar in search of a shelter. He sat down on the step of a closed shop and found that the notes had lost their crispness and were damp with rainwater. He was missing the comforts of the veranda and also that of the blanket. He regretted robbing Arun and the fact that he would never learn to write whole sentences, which could one day bring him more than 100 rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, but to be a really big man, a wise and successful man, that was something. I should go back to Arun, if only to learn how to write. So, this was not the only reason for which she went back to Arun. Deepak's concern for Arun was also another reason that drew him back. He knew it very well that a successful thief must be pitiless, but a sense of sympathy was one of his weaknesses, and deep down his heart he had a sense of sympathy and affection for Arun. He was fond of Arun. He finally entered Arun's room to return the wad of notes undetected. He was extremely nervous, as he himself said that it is easier to steal but very difficult to return something undetected. So he somehow found his way through the darkness to the bed and succeeded in putting the money where Arun kept it. On waking up a little late next morning, Deepak found that Arun had already made the tea. Arun stretched his hand towards him with a 5 rupee note and said, I made some money yesterday. Now you will get paid regularly. So initially, Deepak was quite afraid, but later on, he congratulated himself on having returned the money. But the moment he took the note, he realized that Arun knew everything, as the note was still wet from last night's rain. Arun did not say anything about it. Instead, he said that he would teach him to write a little more than his name. Deepak smiled at Arun in his most appealing way, but this time it came out spontaneously. It was Arun's kindness that transformed Deepak. So, this story basically tells us that good human values can bring a transformation even in a rogue, even in a thief. So one can change this world, one can change anyone in this world with good human values, kindness, gratefulness, feelings of gratitude, and sympathy. I hope you have understood the story, and please stay tuned for the next video on the important MCQs from this text. Thanks for watching till the end. If you find this video useful, kindly like, share and subscribe. Keep watching, keep learning. All the best. Thank you all.